There are times when I view the mainstream news coverage of a particular event going on, where I can scarcely believe what I am watching and hearing. It stuns me how viewers at home can watch the same footage or incident, once or numerous times, and have a completely contradictory point of view compared to what the media is telling us. The recent shooting of Nihil M in Paris is no different. For the past week, I've heard various different individuals on mainstream channels describe this event as either a murder or killing of Nihil. This includes what some would perhaps describe as more right-wing channels as well, such as GB News. I, however, see this incident completely differently. Any background on the reasons why the police have pulled this car over and had a gun pointed at the vehicle are not clear from what I've read online or seen on the telly. If anyone does have any information on this, please say so in the comments. I do, however, know that it is highly unlikely the officers pulled this car over for no reason whatsoever. That just doesn't happen. I should make it clear that I have never personally had any trouble with the police in my life. But if I was sitting in a car and I had a police officer pointing a gun at me, I would be doing everything I was told by those coppers, cooperating with whatever they said. The thought of driving away wouldn't ever come into my mind. No good can come from that. Perhaps Nihil had something in his car he did not want the police to see, perhaps he was wanted by the police for another incident. I do not know. What I do know is that the likelihood of someone who is innocent of any wrongdoing and has a police officer pointing a gun at their head driving their car away is near zero. When Nihil then drives away, the police officer is put into an impossible situation. What is the point of having armed police pointing a gun at a suspect if that suspect is just going to ignore them and drive away? How does the officer know if the car is not going to come back and drive into them shortly afterwards? Were there any individuals in the car who were armed? The list of possibilities is endless. Of course, legal proceedings should take place and each side can make their case, but from what I have seen, I do not think the police officer has done anything wrong. Nihil's death is obviously the cause of the extremely violent riots we have seen in France over the past week. Riots in France are not an unusual phenomenon, but these ones are different. I'm sure many of you would have seen the extent of the violence and destruction, which has been ongoing all over the country. Much of this footage I will not risk uploading onto YouTube, as I do not want to have this video banned. But this includes men with rifles shooting live rounds up into the air in the middle of the street, trucks being stolen and smashed into businesses and other property, looting, zoo animals being released onto the streets, and all sorts of other criminal behaviour. From what I have seen on the telly and read online, the rioters are largely, if not exclusively, those of immigrant backgrounds, with Nihil being of North African background. These rioters argue that the white police force has murdered a 17-year-old Arab child in a racist killing. For the reasons I've said previously, I do not share this viewpoint whatsoever. In fact, I'm not alone with this view. I'll play some footage of what a French lawyer has said about this incident being a racist crime, and show you the comments people have said in response to the video afterwards.
Racist crime, it is linked and caused by racist either motives directly from the person or either structurally. France is a segregated country in which there is two parallel societies. One which is from certain origins, from a part of it, which from Northern Africa and Africa, and the very conservative and protected white elite that lives in the center of the city of Paris. This is for the main central Parisian situation, but you can see a similar configuration in the main cities of France, in Bordeaux, Lyon, Toulouse, and so forth.
Well, that's enough of that idiot. How he can say he knows what's going through the copper's head as he took that action. Just said, he just said this is a racist. You've got no basis to say that. And the comments underneath, you can read them. This is Channel 4 as well, by the way. So this ain't some, this is a left-wing news article channel. The comments are just constant in disagreement. So yeah. That's enough of that idiot. As I said at the start of this video, this shows the disconnect between what some in the media are saying on the TV and what others are seeing at home with their own eyes. What really staggers me about this event is if you look at the reaction of those of Arab backgrounds in France, with the mass rioting ongoing now, compared to a couple of other incidents in the country in recent times. Last year, a 12-year-old French girl called Lola was allegedly killed by an Algerian woman in an unprovoked attack, with her body cut up into different pieces. Even more recently, a Syrian man went round a park, stabbing babies and toddlers. Were there any riots in the country after these attacks? Did the same people rioting now take to the streets to express their anger and frustration at these events? Of course not. Years ago, when a Catholic priest in the country was killed by an Arab, while the priest was serving Mass, did anything happen? No. When a young girl was killed and babies and toddlers were stabbed in the park, they said nothing. Yet when an uncooperative 17-year-old, with a police officer pointing a gun at him, is shot, the whole of France is burned. Also, this mug was going to an Elton John concert, while his country was experiencing some of the worst riots in decades. As you can see from these images, the riots have also turned into looting. Why would anyone taken to the streets to riot about French police brutality be interested in looting businesses for free goods? I'll let you answer that for yourselves. The hypocrisy and double standards in this French story are very telling of our time.